Man, TikTok. Man, I'm checking my son's phone. You know, it's bedtime. Look what this little girl sent my son.
Answer this phone call, blow your brains out with this gun. And right now, if you help me and listen to what the I say, I'm gonna blow your brains out with that. You see that my give it here, Chloe. Give it here. See that gun behind you? Give it here. I'm finna show you. I'm finna show y'all. You wanna hear this? You wanna hear this? You wanna hear this? You wanna hear this? Yeah. Yeah, you wanna hear this? Yeah, you wanna hear this? Yeah, you wanna hear else? Yeah, you wanna see? Yeah, you wanna see some else? Yeah. Yeah. Stop playing me. Why do you not answer my phone? You need to answer this phone, but I beat you up. And Chloe. Oh, that's right.
Why do they have phones at 9 years old in the first place? That's the first thing that I'm trying to understand. Because I know that we in a new era, and maybe I'm just a little bit more old school, but I got a few points that I want to make with this whole situation. And we need to solve for this. First, let me give some credit where credit is due. And I always like to link back to the content creator because, whether I agree with them or not, I think that content creators are awesome and they all deserve their credit for doing a great job at what they got going on. But let me just first say that, in addition to that, I think that it's weird, and it's just me, it may be a little bit weird that 9-year-olds have phones. Before we even get into what was said in the messages, 9-year-olds having phones is crazy to me. I think that we need to remove the devices, right? And I know some people are going to say, well, it's so that they can get in touch with me or whatever. I'm not even really sure that 9-year-olds need to be by themselves to the point to where they need to get in touch with you. So I don't remember my daughter ever having a phone at 9 years old to even be able to get into this type of nonsense. How did they get each other's information? What did they exchange? What do you mean that they leaving messages and stuff like that? That's A. B, this is why I say that we need to divest ourselves from the culture. Some people are going to say, well, they're just children and it's the parents' fault. All fine and dandy. But guess what? The children are the ones that pay for the sins of their parents. And when I see ratchet people and when I see ghetto people and I see people that are bad for the culture, you know what that tells me? That tells me that they're raising their children to be monsters. Their children are going to be stealing your children's hubcaps. They are going to be pregnant by the time that they graduate from high school, if they graduate at all. If they do make it to college, they're going to be ratchet and they're going to be for the streets. We know that No Child Left Behind is not going to prevent them from not being able to graduate in the first place. And more importantly, they're going to want to integrate their children into the same classrooms as your children. Back in the day, and I say this often at times on the Millionaire Morning Show and on After Hours, but back in the day, in my day, and I'm 42 years old, born in '82, raised in the '80s, born in the '80s, raised in the '90s. We used to have what I would call Room 9. And Room 9, and it's just the thing that I talk about, it's just the reality, was for children that was a little bit slower than others. Now, it seems as though in most school districts, all children are integrated in with each other. Room 9 was a room that was directly in the middle of the hallway, that was the closest to the bathrooms, and often at times, and this is a true story, those children was on the spectrum. They had helmets on, they had 24-hour care or the entire time that they were in school. It was no latchkey for them because their parents had to directly come and pick them up because you had to have a specially trained teacher to be able to assist them and help them through it. That child right there, without any testing, but just to hear them, says that she needs some special needs and treatment. And you know what the worst part about it is? When you put it in them young and what they witness from you young is the thing that sticks with them with the rest of their life. And that even the word of God says, put it in them young, it'll never depart from them. So they always come back to the core of what they've learned and what they've observed from their parents. And basically what parents are doing is passing along generational trauma. And then you, at some point, this girl is either going to become the sexy red or the rapper of the culture, or they're going to eventually get on the internet and they gonna get on their version of TikTok when they grow up, 9, 10 years from now with a couple different baby daddies, and they gonna be talking about how they ain't no good men and why people like Anton shouldn't be having conversations about relationships because I didn't have children out of wedlock and I don't understand what the culture is out here. I'm telling you, at some point, we need to hold ourselves accountable for not being proactive and preventing ourselves and our culture and our children from being subjected to some of the worst things in society. Some of the worst things in society. I know the people that's in the chat of this video, and again, I'm gonna link it back to the description. I didn't read the chat on this video before I reacted to it because you guys sent it to me. I know that the people in the chat of this is always going to be, oh man, but it's just kids or whatever, and they're gonna find a way to pass the blame and justify it. But in my personal opinion, everybody does not deserve to have children. Everybody should be tested before they have children. Everybody should have to qualify themselves and pass a test. And the reason that they don't allow for y'all to do that and they just let y'all have children willy-nilly is because it's incredibly profitable to keep you on a Democratic plantation and to have y'all basically raised and waking up as slaves to the system every day, and then you become profitable to the prison industrial complex or to auto manufacturers because they know that they can make more parts to sell to you guys because the insurance company got to substantiate or they got to make up for whoever cars and rims and Hellcats is being stolen. And we basically raising a bunch of demons and we blaming it on the system instead of holding the parents accountable. When I see these parents go up to these schools and cuss the teachers out, or the teachers are choosing to get out of the profession, or they want to retire early because they tired of dealing with your badass kids, this is the type of stuff that they have to subject themselves to. This is the type of stuff that they have to subject themselves to on a regular basis. So miss me with saying that it's the system's fault. Miss me with saying that it's the teacher's fault, that they need to create these curriculums. These kids can't read. All they can do is cuss somebody out and send a voicemail or a text message. That is one of the most toxic things in the culture. And then we justify it by saying, oh man, it's the system's fault, it's the teachers. No, it always comes back to your upbringing and the parents, and they are the ones that need to be held accountable for these kids being on the spectrum. They're the ones that need to be held accountable for these kids being evil, for them to say those type of things. I'm going to have to go back and edit this video even more because I have to take out all of the curse words because that child was cursing like a sailor. So sad. Those parents at some point need to be held accountable for that. I don't know if you need to send them to jail, need to send them to church. I don't know what you need to do, but those parents need to be held accountable for what these children are operating like in this day and age. We too far into the technology and too early into the new year to have this happening to our children. Y'all let me know what y'all think inside of the chat. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Henley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. Let me know what y'all think.